After a revote, Governor Dennis Dugard's teacher pay plan is now heading forward. Details ahead.
And if you're a USD student from Iowa, you're in luck. We'll tell you why coming up. Coyote News starts right now.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Good evening, I'm Nathan Finster.
And I'm Kathleen Suri. We'll get to those top stories in a moment, but first the headlines with Sophie Heineman.
Forbes ranks USD as the best college in South Dakota on its list of top institutions in each state. The ranking says that USD's role as a public research institution plays a central role in the state. The university says that 70% of the state's attorneys and 48% of its physicians are graduates. The leader of a South Dakota congregation of Warren Jeff's polygamist sect is making his initial court appearance after his arrest in a federal sweep accusing sect leaders of food stamp fraud and money laundering. He appeared in court this afternoon in Rapid City. Officials say 42-year-old Seth Jeffs was arrested in Custer County yesterday. Jeffs leads a compound of fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints members in rural Custer County. And in weather, this is a live look at the new USD Arena. Right now it's partly sunny and 37 degrees outside. This evening we're looking at a chance of snow. Tomorrow the temperatures will be in the mid-30s. The big warm-up is this Saturday with a high of 60 degrees.
Thanks, Sophie. Iowa students at USD may receive a decrease in tuition costs. The ruling would allow Iowa residents to receive in-state tuition, and the program's currently being discussed in the Board of Regents. Vice President of Enrollment Marketing and University Relations Scott Polson says a large majority of students that attend USD are from Iowa.
What we did is we looked at the long term, kind of looking at where the past few years and past 2 or 3 years have been for the state of Iowa in terms of their public institutions and their pricing, and looking to see what changes they made this past year in terms of their price points, and then understanding where we were going long term. So we looked back, it's been about a year we've been working on it to really look at the numbers and understand where we've been at in terms of our Iowa enrollment, and more specifically our price points compared to other public institutions in the state of Iowa.
A decision on in-state tuition is expected in late March or early April.
Tomorrow night, Student Government Association Executive Office candidates will head-to-head in the Cross Media Council debate. Presidential candidate Nathaniel Steinlicht says he and his vice president running mate Michelle Novak have been preparing for the debate by talking with potential student voters to find out what campus topics are important to them.
Really what we've been doing is we've been going out and talking to students and finding the issues that matter to them. And we believe that those topics are going to come up in the debate in some way, and figuring out how we're going to respond to them.
Challenging Steinlicht in the race is presidential candidate Cameron Frentress and his running mate Anna Madsen. Frentress says the team has been conducting mock debate to prepare for the real thing.
Anna and I are getting with members of our campaign, just kind of going through questions that we think may be asked and just getting ready for that, and just how we can rebuke to what we feel like Nathaniel and Michelle may say in the debate, stuff like that, you know.
Every day, food goes to waste in USD convenience stores because no one buys it. On this week's Yote Report, Coyote News' Lexi Ozerov finds out what one USD student is doing to fight this problem.
Ever wonder what happens to food not bought at USD convenience stores? For third-year law student Eric Schlimgen, this question led to the idea for his public administration capstone project. Schlimgen's coordinating a food donation program between the university and Feeding Vermilion.
Schlimgen's proposed program aims to partner with Airmark-owned businesses around campus, such as The Pod, U-Brew, and Beady Bump, to donate extra food items to charities and organizations in Vermilion and the surrounding areas.
Schlimgen's plan would allow students to either donate food directly or use Coyote Cash to donate money to Feeding Vermilion and the food pantry.
Called a food recovery system, where food, which is good, wholesome food, is not wasted, but it's repurposed to individuals who are food insecure.
Everything from baked goods, pre-prepared sandwiches, cups of fruit, and cans of food can be accepted by the charities. Schlimgen says people fail to donate food because of liability, but the 1996 Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Recovery Act removes any liability concerns from donors because the food is donated in good faith. The program would increase the amounts of food available to those in need. Currently, a person may only come once a month to the Vermilion Pantry, but Schlimgen's proposal may change that rule. Schlimgen's plan has been approved by SGA, and he's currently negotiating a deal with Aramark. For the Yote Report, I'm Lexi Azarov.
Coyote News will be right back.
USD's Media and Journalism Department offers a specialization in strategic communication. Stratcom students learn to conceive and develop campaigns. In the production phase, students transform their ideas into professional quality images and then construct a final presentation. Through this process, students learn the fundamentals of effective public relations and advertising strategies. Go to USD's website and apply today.
Clotique is proud to support programming on Coyote News. Located on Cottage Avenue, 1 block north of Cherry Street, Clotique offers women's apparel, footwear, and accessories.
This is Coyote News.
The proposed half-cent sales tax hike that would help fund Governor Dennis Daugaard's plan to raise teacher pay is moving forward. The House voted 47-21 to approve the plan, hitting the required 2/3 margin necessary to pass the tax hike. The proposal fell just 1 vote short last week, but Monday's vote means the measure is headed to the state Senate.
And now Coyote News' Tatum Dean is live in the muck with Curriculum and Instruction Division Chair Dr. Nicholas Shudak to discuss what he thinks this means for those pursuing teaching careers. Tatum?
Thanks, Kathleen. Now, Dr. Shudak, South Dakota is known for having one of the lowest teacher salaries. How do you think this new bill will affect the enrollment of students in the education school?
I definitely think there's a possibility that the enrollment will increase, obviously. I think people that when they're choosing, 18-year-olds when they're choosing a career to go into and they want to serve other humans through teaching, I think the fact that the salary will be increased moving forward, I think will definitely help push people into the profession as well. And I think it also just helps with the feeling of going into a profession to serve other people, but also to be valued for the work that you're doing, to be valued for being the professional that teachers are, and doing the pretty difficult and hard work that teachers actually do.
All right. Do you think that this new State House discussion will encourage students to stay in the state after they graduate?
I think it will encourage them to stay in the state, right? I still think there are some other hurdles, I think, and there are some other competitive salaries around the state. And plus, for many of South Dakota residents, at least in this area where, we live in a border area, and so I think a lot of students are still looking to, cross borders as well, to go wherever they feel most valued.
Okay. And what do you think about the proposal to use state funding instead of the sales tax that has been planned to be used?
So I think the criticism of the sales tax is that it might harm people, other people that are low wage earners or something to that effect, and so I'm not necessarily sure that will have more of an impact or have less of an impact. I'm not really sure exactly what that will be moving forward. I think this is something that's been decided upon, and I think the progress is good, and I think we should feel good about that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Now, the new bill will raise the average teacher salary to $48,500 in 2017. For Coyote News, I'm Tatum Dean.
Thanks, Tatum. It's been around for years, the infamous Facebook like button. But if you've been on Facebook today, you may have noticed some new friends. We'll show you the changes to the popular social network when Coyote News returns.
USD's Media and Journalism Department offers a specialization in strategic communication. Stratcom students learn to conceive and develop campaigns. In the production phase, students transform their ideas into professional quality images and then construct a final presentation. Through this process, students learn the fundamentals of effective public relations and advertising strategies. Go to USD's website and apply today.
This is Coyote News.
Facebook's like button isn't going away, but it's getting some company.
Facebook has been testing alternatives to like in about half a dozen countries, including Ireland, Spain, and Japan. And here's what they introduced this morning. Facebook started making haha, angry, and 3 other responses available in the US and the rest of the world. In changing a core part of Facebook, the 7-year-old like button has become synonymous with the social network. The company says it's trying to keep things familiar. You have to hold your mouse or mouse button over the like link for a second or two before the alternatives pop up. And sometimes life as a college student can get frustrating. On this week's Coyote blog, Andy Hartman tells us how she's dealing with these frustrations.
There are a lot of things I could complain about today. I could complain about how my window has been open for the past week, but my room is still 75 degrees. I could complain about how I can't get on social media without seeing 9 million posts about politics, even though we're still 10 months away from the election. And of course, I could always complain about the fact that Vermilion doesn't have a KFC. That fact still hurts. But I'm not going to complain. I decided to be a positive person and have an optimistic outlook on life for a while. I was actually thinking about going hardcore and to try to stop being sarcastic, but then I realized I might as well just try to stop breathing because that'd be easier. So I'm going to try to be an optimistic person for a bit. Maybe instead of glaring at slow walkers on campus, I'll just let them be. It might not be their fault that they're walking slowly. Maybe they just put a little bit of extra stupidity in their morning coffee. So who am I to judge? So I'm going to try to be more positive, and we'll see what happens. For Coyote Blog, I'm Andy Hartman.
Thanks, Andy. Coming up next, find out what's going to happen to the Dakota Dome court when we return. Stay with us.
USD's Media and Journalism Department can be seen and heard all over campus. Faculty members know that hands-on experience now is the key to success after college. Get professional experience by participating in one of the many practicums offered. Have your voice heard on the radio. Edit a promo for a campus organization. Investigate breaking news stories for a weekly newspaper. Design advertisements for local businesses. Get involved with the Media and Journalism Department at USD and start your future now.
Twin Theaters in downtown Vermilion, providing entertainment Tuesdays through Sundays. A proud supporter of USD student media.
This is Coyote News.
Tonight on Coyote Sports, the men and women's basketball teams play in the Dakota Dome for the final time. Plus, Coyote News' Brandon Noel speaks with a member of the golf team about their upcoming season. I'm Kayla Dorhout.
And I'm Levi Goots. The track and field teams preparing for the Indoor Conference Championships this weekend. And in Cassidy's Corner, she gives us her take on a certain international sports rivalry. But first, the headlines. Sophie?
Hilton Hotels has apologized after Cleveland Cavaliers guard Kyrie Irving said he was bitten by bedbugs during the team's stay at the hotel this past weekend in Oklahoma City. Irving played just 9 minutes in the win over the Thunder. The team blamed flu-like symptoms, but Irving later said it was because of bedbugs he discovered on a pillow. Colorado Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes has been placed on paid leave by Major League Baseball. Reyes will remain on leave until the completion of his domestic violence case in Hawaii. Once the case is completed, Commissioner Rob Manfred will decide whether to discipline the shortstop. MLB officials say it'll have no further comment until Reyes' case is resolved. A new NCAA guideline says that coaches can no longer subtweet potential recruits. Subtweeting refers to mentioning an unsigned recruit by name or nickname on Twitter. Coaches have used this as a way to endorse recruits without violating NCAA rules. The new guideline says coaches can't mention recruits on Twitter until they've signed with the university. And those are your headlines.
The men's golf team's first event of the spring season was cut short due to severe weather. Coyote News' Brandon Noel is live in the muck with a member of the team to talk about their upcoming season. Brandon.
Thanks, Kayla. The men finished 12th out of 13th at the Atchafalaya tournament in Louisiana this last week. I'm joined today with junior Cody Seal. Cody, thanks for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, the last meet was on October 27th for the fall, and it's been about 4 months now.
That's right.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Does it feel great to get back out there?
It does. It does. Taking 4 months off like that, it gives us a chance to breathe, kind of rest, and then come out fresh in the spring. Usually, I mean, if you look at our numbers from past years, we usually play better in the spring. So just because you feel fresh and excited to get out there again.
Okay. And, you know, talking about the weather, too, you guys have to make that transition being in South Dakota when in the fall, you got all the winter, the blizzard and stuff you never know.
That's right.
How is that practicing in the Dakota Dome kind of play out for you guys going into the spring?
It's nice, actually. We have a net that we hit into, and so we can hit the full length of the dome up to it's like 100 yards into the net. So it's nice. And then this year, this winter, we just got a Coyote. We call it the Cave, but it's an indoor putting room. And so we have turf that we can putt on. So it's an improvement for us this year.
Okay. You know, this last year, you guys won the Summit League tournament, and it was definitely something for the books. How are you guys, or what are you guys going to do to try and repeat that this year?
Well, we just got to keep hitting the dome. I think the weather's warming up, so we got to get outside here. We're a deep team. We have a lot of guys that could be playing in the conference championship. So we're underdogs. So go out there and play like nothing to lose.
All right. There you have it. That's Cody Seal, junior for the University of South Dakota golf team. You can look forward to seeing them play March 12th and 13th at the George Mason Mission in Spring Invite in Florida. Live for Coyote Sports, I'm Brandon Noel.
It was a big weekend for Coyote basketball. The men's and women's teams played their final games in the Dakota Dome, as Coyote News' Ethan Netz reports.
The last game for the women's team was extra special on Saturday as they beat in-state rival SDSU 80-75. The team, led by Nicole Seekamp, recorded her 9th double-double of the season. The men's team fell short, losing to Denver 76-71. General Manager for Coyote Sports Properties, Travis Lee, expressed his thoughts about leaving the Dome.
It's kind of bittersweet. Looking forward to the new digs at the new basketball volleyball arena, but you know, it's always interesting and somewhat sad to you know, move out of a facility that's been very much of a home court advantage for the Coyotes these last 37 years.
Most of the bleachers will still be utilized at the Dome for football games and track and field events.
The new facility that will house the men and women's basketball games will have a brand new built-in court, unlike the one they use now that comes up in pieces.
Lee said the current basketball court will likely end up being sold. The Dome has been used for Coyote basketball since it was built in 1979, and in the past 37 years, the Coyotes have won a combination of 15 conference titles. For Coyote News, I'm Ethan Netz.
The women look to clinch their second consecutive Summit League title tomorrow night as they travel to Fort Wayne. And the men need to win one of their 2 remaining games to clinch a spot in the Summit League Conference Tournament.
The final games at the Dakota Dome weren't the only events happening this past weekend involving basketball. The Mount Rushmore of Dakota Dome basketball was announced at both the men's and women's games. Nicole Seekamp, Mandy Kopel, Katie Daly, and Amber Hegley were selected for the women at halftime for their game on Saturday. And Tim Hatchett, Josh Mueller, Nate Tibbetts, and Randy Rosenquist were chosen for the men at their game on Sunday. The 4 representatives were part of the athletics department's program to honor basketball in the Dakota Dome. The voting began in early January with 16 men and women chosen by the athletic department. Fans then voted on who they thought was the best team players in the Dakota Dome history. USD men and women's track teams will travel to Fort Wayne, Indiana on Friday to compete in the Indoor Summit League Championships. The USD men's team has finished first in the last 3 conference championship meets, and the women's team has finished second in the last few. Lucky Huber says the upcoming conference meet isn't about the individual.
Conference meets are a great experience for our kids. We've always done a good job of getting them fired up. It's unique because a lot of track meets you go to, it's more of an individual thing.
The Summit League Indoor Track Championships concludes on Saturday. The indoor track and field teams are preparing for the Summit League Championships, but the swimming and diving teams completed theirs this past weekend. The women's team took 3rd place overall, while the men's team placed 5th. Junior women's diver Grayson Herding made history, sweeping both the 1-meter and 3-meter diving events in 3 consecutive years. The junior was also named Diving Champion MVP for her performance. Junior Jacob Knowles also put in a strong performance, breaking a 16-year-old record in the 200-yard breaststroke. Freshman Hannah Gumpton set a school record for the 200-yard butterfly, and fellow freshman Teresa Godlewski broke the school record for the 200-yard backstroke.
In Cassidy's Corner this week, Cassidy gives us her take on the U.S. and Canada rivalry in soccer from a Canadian perspective.
The rivalry between USA and Canada in women's ice hockey is one of the most prominent rivalries in the world. But the rivalry between USA and Canada women's soccer teams is a bloodbath. The final for the CONCACAF Olympic qualifying tournament took place on Sunday. The purpose for the tournament is to determine which 2 teams will represent the federation in Rio this summer. It was Team USA and Team Canada that settled that, with each team's respective semifinal wins. Team USA and Team Canada met in the final after wins against Costa Rica and Trinidad and Tobago. Fans got a show of world-class talent, as these 2 teams had not met since the controversial 2012 Olympic semifinal game. Canada is known for using a very physical style of play against the U.S., but it hasn't always worked, as the U.S. is 46, 3-6 all-time against Canada. The U.S. won the game 2-0, with goals scored by Lindsey Horan and Tobin Heath. The U.S. looked to captain and veteran player Carly Lloyd, who has been playing the best soccer of her career at the age of 33. Likewise, Canada leaned on their veteran captain, 32-year-old Christine Sinclair. Both teams also had help from phenom teenagers such as 16-year-old Canadian Deanna Rose and 17-year-old American Mallory Pugh. With this rivalry, I hope all fans were able to look past the statistics and see such a beautiful game played out. Both teams will be playing in this summer's Olympics, and I hope to see them put in the same group to produce another rivalry game. And that's Cassidy's Corner.
Thanks, Cassidy. Coming up after the break, find out if students know what freedoms the First Amendments protect. Stay tuned.
Climbing's awesome because it's challenging, both mentally and physically.
You gotta love climbing because even when you're not climbing, you get a great view.
Climbing's great because I feel like Spider-Man.
Climbing is great, because even my nerd friends can do it.
Climbing's awesome because there's always someone who has your back.
Come to the rock wall and figure out why climbing's awesome for you.
Fast Auto Glass is proud to support programming on Coyote News. Located at 222 West Main Street in Vermilion, Fast Auto Glass services windshield replacements and repairs for commercial and residential vehicles.
This is Coyote News.
USD is a free speech campus with the First Amendment illustrated on the outside of the Al Newharth Media Center.
On this week's Out and About, we asked students if they knew the 5 freedoms the First Amendment protects.
Freedom of speech. Oh my. Boy, I'm about to look like an idiot.
Speech. I don't even know. Quit making Snapchats of me.
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press.
Is it like bear arms?
Right to bear arms? No, that's a different one.
Right to bear arms? No? Maybe?
Man, I'm a college student.
Freedom of petition, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and oh no. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and freedom of petition.
Freedom of love, freedom to justice, freedom to press. That's all I got.
Assembly.
Yeah, you actually got it right.
Wow. No, God, I can't.
Sometimes getting to class seems like the odds are stacked against you.
On this week's Coyote Shorts, we examine one student's struggle to make it to class on time. Have you seen this viral video? 106-year-old Virginia McLaurin wanted all her life to see an African American in the White House. So finally, she got the chance to meet President Barack Obama. Take a look.
How are you? I'm fine. Oh, it's so nice to see you. Honest. You want to say hi to Michelle? Yes. Slow down now. She's 106.
No, you are not. You are not.
You slow down.
Oh my goodness. You are not. I want to be like you when I grow up.
It was the happiest day of her life. And that's all for Coyote News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Have a great night. We'll see you next time.